My name is Aurelius Zeff, the protector of Barghthorn, a small whaling village on an island off the coast. I lived my life as anyone should. I cared for my friends, loved my family, forgave my rivals, and built a home to be proud of, a home worth protecting. One day, when I was out whaling, the weather was foul, and the gods' whims must have been wrathful that day, for they sent a wave, bigger than the tallest mountain on Barghthorn, straight towards the tiny island, to seemingly wipe it off the face of existence. In an act of desperation, I turned my small boat and headed straight on for the wave. I wasn't driven by rage, or the lust for glory, or the pride of trying to best a divine being's whim. I was driven by the deepest feeling someone could have. Love. Love for my home. Those rivals I forgave. The friends I cherished, and the family I raised, for they all would surely perish under this Armageddon. So I gripped my harpoon, and I sailed directly into this beast of a wave, and gave up everything I am to protect this beautiful, insignificant village. I gave up my body, and the strength that I built my home with. And I gave up the memories of my life, my friends, my family. They all became strangers passing in my dreams. I gave up everything, down to my soul, and to spare this island, and to stop that beast from taking it away. And now, as the shepherdess takes me, I can only hope that my sacrifice is enough for the unfeeling gods to notice and spare this small village, this small, insignificant village. My name is Aurelius Zeff. I am a mortal, and I am no more.
The rebel child Sindar sought to control and shape the primal passion that flowed throughout the universe. The other gods had no control over this passion and its overwhelming force, leading to many godly disputes. So, Sindar took this passion, shaped it into emotion, and created her son to rule over them. He was called Nevrik. Sindar charged Nevrik with the power of passion, separating it into 5 base emotions: love, fear, anger, joy, and sadness. Each of these emotions were tied to 5 elements: the immovable earth, the flowing water, the burning fire, the fleeting air, and the striking lightning. Each of these elements came together to form Nevrik's home, the catalyst of all emotion. And Nevrik was the key to unlocking all incorporeal sensation in the universe.
And so came midnight, lost in the stars of the fallen people of his world. As a mortal, Midnight was around in the early ages of his land, and was a part of the few that were at the beginning. Midnight's parents were the first to die, leaving Midnight in a state that would lead him to godship, the exploration of death, hoping that he could see his parents again, while also to be the god that understood what took his parents from him. Death itself. Midnight is there to research, study, and ponder what the moment of death will bring to everyone. A worker with all the gods, but closely with Ystävä, leading you through the moment of death and handing you off to Ystävä for the afterlife. On the journey of life, midnight comes when you least expect it. It watches how you make every decision to your last breath. Looking over every soul that reaches death, midnight takes a moment to care for what you have done, what choices you have made, and what has brought you to your final breath. And with that final breath of life you take, midnight will come.
During the birth of Regolus, Uro created with it a messenger, who would meet with the Crucible and assist them with the maintenance of this blossoming new reality. I am Ünen, herald of Uro, and god of force. In the beginning my work was primarily with Kirin, assisting with the creation of the elves. Since then, I have continued my mission to help this universe grow, and help the gods as they govern it, forever maintaining the vision that Uro had for his creation, and serving as linchpin for the forces of nature in order to maintain equilibrium.
Welcome. Don't be afraid. There's no reason to be. Let me start with telling you a story. Maybe that would make you more comfortable. But please, you're safe. This story is about the first person who died. So, when the first mortal perished, no place had yet to be created for the dead, except for the god sleep. This mortal came to the sepulchre of the gods alone and with no means to return to the worlds of the living. It was not a place for them. Yet, unfortunately, they were there because there was no other place for them to go. Fearing an eternity of nothingness, or worse, being discovered by a not-so-forgiving god, the mortal tore into the ether, desperate to escape. The ether tore back, filling the mortal with the vast potential that Uro gave existence. All that was before, and all that would come to be, ripped through the very essence of the mortal's mind and body. But the mortal's will was strong. So strong that once soul and vessel had been consumed by the void, their will remained. From the ether, something began to stitch itself together. The very fabric of the universe, combined with the mortal will to endure, weaved a new being. A friendly face to meet at the edge of eternity. A shepherd to guide souls from what was to what will be. The new god, imbued with the spark the mortal left behind, fashioned a name for themselves. Ystävä. Ystävä carved out a piece of the god's sleep for the perished mortals, for you. Ystävä made it for them to come for a final rest, or to be reborn into the next cycle. And while this creation seems very mystical, some focus on the peace and the comfort the god of the afterlife provides. Others fear the great unknown, which I don't blame them. Unknowns are scary, but a very select few believe there might just be something more to be discovered, even beyond the veil. Maybe one day we'll find out. Welcome to the afterlife. My name is Ystävä.
The beginning, there was only the void, thought birth, dark drinker, the heart of all magic. It was itself, the expanse of shifting emptiness, simply the before. Centered around this sliver, a fragment of existence itself, the void was everything and nothing, alive, dead, and dreaming, all at once. Then, for seemingly no reason, and yet for every reason, something spawned from the dream of the void. It was a sentient orb of glittering light, energy, and brilliance. Uro, infinite unbound, was born, and simultaneously so too did the essence of the void fold in on itself, imploding, leaving only its dormant shell, the expanse of space itself, visible to its new creation. At the moment of its birth, Uro is said to have had every thought that would ever be had all at once. And once it thought of everything, it became bored by what it found. It decided to change everything by imprinting upon existence its own grand design. Uro channeled all the energy of the infinite nothingness and effectively divided itself in half. One half remained pure, floating, sentient energy, but multiplied in size exponentially. It began to accrue its own gravitational pull, drawing in debris and matter from the corpse of the void, beginning what would later be called a planet. Uro's second half became La, the potter, sculptor of the gods. As Uro sealed its remaining self inside the ball of energy and hardening magma, it spoke to its only daughter thus.
You are La, that which shapes the formless, and from your shapes must come my legacy. With my soul, you will work wonders. wonders. And La, duty-bound, worked wonders. In the first star made in her afterbirth, she formed a fortress, her home and the home of gods to come, named the Hearth. And in the hearth she built a great wheel, like those we spin our clay upon, but great La, upon it she spun all that is. From the heat and the flame of the hearth itself she sculpted her sons. First came Dami Ino, hammer of the gods, and without intending to, La gave life to the cold space left in the wake of Dami Ino's creation, giving him a brother, Vaikstar, the dark between stars. And so came to be the brothers celestial. Dami Ino hammered the myriad stars into light and life, while Vaikstar carved roads between them, linking them together in the bleak quiet. But soon the brothers began to bicker and spat, and their fights would rumble the heavens, and the ball of rock and ambition would seethe, so La would answer. To find balance between their squabbles, La sculpted Aldwin, the Scales Overseer. And as he was built to do, Aldwin stopped the arguments he could before they were even to happen, and the ones that went too far he cleaved in twain with word and might. And for a time, things were quiet. But like her ancestor, even in slumber and respite, La was at work. Her dreams were filled with exploration and passion and movement and life, though life, as we know it, did not yet exist. And her dreams gathered at the wheel all the starfire and the solar winds, and the humming of tectonic plates of the burgeoning planet below, and the liquid ichor that flowed in all of La's children. And from this gathering came Sindar, all that moves, elementalist. Sindar was the rebel child. She did as she pleased, and she in turn pleased very few, but was respected and feared by all, as she built a world for all the elements to flow through at once. In their unity, this family of 5 turned to the now gargantuan ball of elemental fury beneath them, and feeling Uro's will surging through them all, they began to act. Drawing power from the new-birthed planes across the multiverse, these gods imbued the planet with life. The flora thrummed with diluted ichor, which would soon become water and fill. From the flora would come small moving things that would drink of the ichor and change and grow apart over and over and over. Each creature and thing on this planet has a story and a path that leads back to these gods, or the gods to come. But those are stories for other days. When at last the work was done, and the planet was filled, but filled too with chaos, the first family became overwrought. They needed someone to help keep track of all that had come before, and all that was to come, so La spun the wheel one last time, and from this finality sprung Kirahan, archivist of memory. Kirahan was the first of this family, the Crucible, to inhabit the planet and walk it themselves, sheltering under the massive tree formed when they first touched the soil. With this last work done, these gods, this Crucible, looked upon the teeming globe beneath them, and through their ichor heard Uro speak once more. Witness, Regolus. 'Tis mine, and mine alone, but those who writhe upon it are yours, and yours henceforth. Do what you must, please me, and inasmuch serve yourselves.
And it is here where things begin to unfold which neither Uro nor any of the Crucible could ever expect. A second branch of their family was about to grow and take root, and it is here, with these new gods, that our story will begin.
Well, thanks for tuning in, folks. We just wrapping things up.
Hope to see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Hi, guys, if you can hear me now. Welcome back. Good to see you as you join us for another episode, another installment of Bards of New York. Last week we had a fun, chill golf with friends session. How was that?
It was a good time.
Excellent.
There was some fun shenanigans.
Fun shenanigans. I feel like that's what golf with friends was designed to do, is like be a show for fun shenanigans. And we have certainly shenanigans to get up to today. Their degree of fun depends on how much fun you decide to pour into the shenanigans you're inextricably going to get up to in this strange little city. But before we get into any of that, just a few quick announcements. As always, if you haven't yet, jump on our Discord. It's especially pertinent now to find us there because there are some fun things, sort of extracurricular Bards things happening that you're definitely going to want to watch that space for. There's not too much on my end to say about that at the moment, but definitely if you happen to be a fan of anything Nicolas Cage, keep a close eye on our Discord. I'll say that. Hannah, anything to add to that point?
The Golf with Friends stuff, we're hoping to make a more regular thing, maybe like a monthly thing, depending on schedules, but we really enjoyed it. We liked talking about D&D existential stuff with our philosophy major over here, and also just chilling and hanging out with you in a more casual sense.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to doing that more. And then just keep an eye out on our Discord or our socials for other extracurricular Bards stuff, like guesting on different things and showing up in other people's podcasts and stuff like that. Oh, and Thursday is Trans Day of Visibility.
Hell yeah.
So if you want resources, I will post a link in our Discord, but to all of our transgendered friends and family out there, we love you. You deserve happiness. You deserve to live your life to the fullest, and you are valid. And this is a safe space for you.
Yep. Sort of goes to the point that we were making a few weeks back, that's if we haven't said it enough, that this is for all walks of life. This is a absolutely, no better way to put it, right? It's a safe space. And as the world continues to carve away at the remaining safe spaces, this will in perpetuity remain one. Trying to think if there's anything else needs saying.
No.
But I'm good on my front. You guys are. Which means before we dive back into our wild and growing world here, we got to jump into this week's bout of tarot. Last week, Hannah, you pulled the Sun. The week before, Drew pulled Temperance. So takes us back to the seats keep switching, but takes us back to Kyle for pick 4. This is episode 10.
Oof.
Here. Take your shot.
What is it?
It's the star, but it's some funny art for the star.
Girl Sarah is a star.
She is a
That
star.
she is, and she well knows it. The star, a guiding light, a distant path forward, an opportunity, perhaps. That's where the star's sitting with us today, and an opportunity you indeed have, as we venture back down to the world and the continent itself of Regolus. And just in brief, what I have for last session, we had a little more crafting after Ystävä. We had some shenanigans with you in your prime domain where you basically made a door to scry down onto Regolus. Meanwhile, our other two members of the Three Musketeers here were trying to breach a way into your prime domain or find a password for you as you taunted them. To which Ünen at one point uttered a word of power, spoke a charged version of the word open, to which there was some response, as of yet unseen.
Oh shit! Would you open?
Yep.
Then we did some crafting. You basically, Ystävä made or in the beginning phases of crafting, a season of sorts. Of life, springing eternal, one way or another. Streets of Brooklyn.
Loud ass truck out there.
Yeah.
And then you guys made your way down to the west coast of Regolus, where you bumped into a fairly snooty merchant, a scout named Ilreard.
East Coast.
You successfully, it seems, deceived him into thinking that you guys are all travelers from the Far East, and after a little bit of successful intimidation, he agreed to ferry you across to his territory, quote unquote, his sort of like clientele base of Brighthorn, with the caveat that you'd want to go and come back or go and find shelter before night fell. And it was sort of late afternoon, early evening time as you guys arrived in Brighthorn, though again the time of day is not the easiest thing to tell given the heavy cloud cover over everything. And you found your way across the waters to the shores of this strange, small little peninsular village comprised of some little smatterings of rock outcroppings around the area, and then these 5 main small little islands tethered together by wooden planks and fairly shoddy masonry, on which the village of Brighthorn is spread and scattered across. And on the southernmost of these 5 islands, you sort of arrived at the little dock, greeted by a swath of rag-wearing villagers and an elderly human man, bearing some sort of priestly regalia, this bullhorn golden necklace, with the backdrop of this statue, this gilded bronze statue of a, basically, am I crazy? A large Minotaur. And that is basically where we left off. So that is where we'll pick up with the sort of crude longboat, or rowboat even, coming to a stop, sort of bumping against the stones of the very, very small, very, very basic dock. And I throw that in quotations because it deserves it. I'm talking like a jetty of stone and some just offshoots of wood forming gangways, really. One of which you now are coasting next to, as a small gathering of villagers awaits you on the actual land of the dock, filtering from the main aisle down past the statue, across one of these little wooden plank bridges onto this smaller dockside island, with this elderly man standing there, proper gnarled staff here, that horn necklace again, and holding up their arms, sort of looking past you almost directly to Ilreard, who's standing like a Venetian, canalman on the back of the rowboat.
Where am I, man?
I mean, effectively, right? This elderly individual raises their hands, looks towards Ilreard. In the name of the Saint of Sacrifice, we welcome you back to our humble isles. There's some murmuring from the crowd around as this. Thank you. Perfect. To the Foley artist here.
Fuck.
Damn it! Go back to the hut.
Stop touching me.
This old man sort of puts his the hands down, his staff down, and rests his arms on the top of the staff while sort of peering over at you all. Leathery face and these sort of sea green eyes. Leans over as if he can really get any better of you when you're down on the docks and he's sort of just up this small slant. I can't say I've seen any of your guests around these parts before, but if they're friends of yours, dear sir, they're friends of ours. Welcome, travellers, to the humble city or the humble village of Brighthorn. Please, disembark and greet us.
Thank you.
And he sort of waddles his way back sort of through the crowd of these villagers. Again, little muttering. And as he passes, he clearly leans over, whispering a few things, just saying a few things to them, which causes them to mostly turn around and follow him back towards the main aisle, where they can be seen darting to a few of the huts here and there and bringing things out onto the main sort of cruddy field there on which the statue is placed, laying out a cloth on the ground, bringing some wicker baskets full of some kind of food and beverage items. It's hard to see from this distance, but they're preparing some kind of thing up on the main aisle. There are a few other villagers settled here, sort of standing on the dockside island watching you. But at this point, the boat's in the dock, and Ilrayard is just doing some rope work, tying this boat to the thing, to the little gangway.
As Ünen walks off of the boat and down the gangway and is moving around, you notice that he's gotten the legs down a little bit better of walking, but he's doing, and if you've seen this movie, Galaxy Quest, he's doing the thing where his arms aren't on opposite side. Like,
he's walking like a brown bear. Isn't it brown bears that walk? Same leg, same arm?
Same leg, same arm. And if you've seen, and
nearly no joints, right? Like just basically straight-legged it. Yeah, I can see exactly the shot in my head of them going down one of those hallways.
Yes.
Yeah, stilted is the word.
Just slowly figuring everything out from the ground up, and looking around. What do I see of their life?
Roll me a perception check. And the other pair of you, while we're going through this little description, think of what you guys are going to be doing, what your immediate thoughts are on disembarking here.
I am proficient. Thank God. That's 14.
14. Okay. Perfect. With a 14, you can see a few things. First of all, the basics, really, as I said, this settlement, this village, really, it looks permanent, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I keep saying, divided into 5 main islands, very irregular. The middle one seems to be the main island, but is the second to largest. And it houses a few of these, it's like halfway a hut, halfway a tent, with a little bit of very early Tudor flavor going on, like thatched roofs and things like that.
Yeah.
Again, all different sizes. Some clearly, as you can see, house people. The people who are maybe standing a little taller, with a little bit more composure, dressed a little better, seem to be coming in and out of those houses.
Okay.
Or it's unclear whether they're all living spaces or some of them are businesses or whatnot. But the other 2 big things on the main central aisle there, in the back, or the northern edge of this aisle, in the middle of the island, there is the largest structure in the entire village, which is all made of stone. It's made of brick and mortar, grey brick though it may be, and all irregularly done.
Yeah.
It's a long, large building, really, with a wood-slatted roof that looks like maybe it was made from pieces of boats or some such. It's got some kind of a spire on one end, and it is the spire is almost placed weirdly in the middle of the building a long ways, like a schoolhouse, right? And that faces, the back of that building faces I'm saying north, but my directions are all confused. You have come from
the east.
For Brighthorn from the east. Yeah. So that building is on the west side of the main aisle, and you are on the easternmost aisle, the little docks. Again, it's really that whole aisle, the eastern aisle, the dock aisle, is no bigger than this room, for the most part. It's fairly small, fairly shoddy. There are 3 other aisles that would be the south, the western aisle, and the northern aisle. The northern aisle is very, very small. Looks to be some kind of an attempt at fields, some kind of agricultural endeavor.
Yeah.
Looks fairly sparse. The western aisle, it's kind of hard to see what's there behind the bigger building in the center of the middle one. Though you can see there are some wooden pathways leading towards it. And the southern aisle has a few really raggedy-looking huts, hut tents, whatever you want to call them, around the side nearest the middle of Brighthorn.
Yeah.
But the southern aisle is the biggest one, and it's also the most unused. Or at least there are only a handful of living spaces or working spaces there.
Okay.
And then little sort of structures dotting it. You said you got a 14?
Yeah.
Looks a little bit like a really, really crude graveyard of some sorts, or a waste area, something. Like, it's used, but not great. I'll say also with a 14, on a perception, you do not have any benefits to any particular senses, do you?
Just sense
Off
dead
the top of my
ass.
head. Not particularly.
That's fine. Just
I would
curious.
say, I mean, in general, like, I view Unen's powers as, like, a bit, tried to be quiet, a bit of a, like, as if it every single thing is connected in some way to him, and it's so infinitesimal that, like, he can't really just be like, yes,
right,
this.
you can't.
But, like, to try to, like,
there's a
focus in, he can sort of get a sensation of, especially if it's like a larger thing.
No, I'm right with you. It was mostly just curious.
Gravity.
Yeah, it doesn't. This place looks and sort of feels and smells like it's wilting a little bit. People are moving sluggishly, and there is an aroma in the air.
Not thriving. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'll say on basic perception. There are, as I said, there are a couple people lingering and watching on the dock, or the dock island as you've arrived. Though they don't seem particularly, they're not like wide-eyed fascinated by you. They're mostly sort of longingly looking at Ilray out here. Hello, hello. So as you're taking your sort of wobbling steps off the boat and engaging with your surroundings, Nevrik and Ystävä.
Seeing our fairy friend, what's his face? I wrote his name down. Ilread, and seeing this old man piques my memory about the 4 individuals that Vikstar told us about, and I'm gonna scan the rest of the people to look for the little girl with the scrunched up face and the feminine presenting angular hair pulled back person with the skull face paint.
Yes, indeed. Roll me an investigation check, please. And what are you up to at the moment?
That person
I was actually going to do something really
very
similar and look
easy
for
to
one of
notice.
those people as well.
Roll with advantage. If the pair of you are scanning more attentively as Unen's taking the landscape.
Yeah. Ünen has also forgotten the 4 people that we are looking for. Just knows that we are looking for
13.
13. Can you roll me a
Should have been you who rolled.
wisdom save also?
Wisdom save?
Yep. Intelligence save. That's what I'll decide it is.
That does me better.
With a 13, as you're looking around for those just images you've got, hard to say. There are people with like reddish auburn hair around. It doesn't look like a particularly uncommon color. You don't see anyone like very young who matches that description, though there are some children. And the face paint one, no signs
Would
of.
be pretty easy.
Yeah, pretty. Though I will say there are a lot of markings on these people's faces, or there seems to be some kind of a tattoo-y thing going on. It's again fairly unclear without further and closer inspection. But no, you're scanning them as they clearly are crafting what looks to be some sort of a picnic in front of the statue in the main aisle.
Okay.
What'd you get?
30.
30 on the intelligence. So that was a tasty memory check. A tasty memory check. You will remember that you were given these descriptions 30 Regolus years ago.
Oh, so they're old now.
Oh, shit.
Oh, thick. Ew. So it's not a child anymore. She's a woman.
She's a woman.
Right.
She can kill with a smile.
That was a when I played 3.5 and we'd do stupid shit, our DM would be, roll a wisdom save. And it was because we were doing dumb shit. He was trying to steer us in the right direction.
I think it's just a nicer way to, I find, as opposed to, me yelling things that you have in your notes out to you, to engage with a little bit of that, even though you're gods.
Yeah.
Especially for gods. Gods are going to have hazy memories.
Yeah, because, time is what? Especially when you're going between two different kinds of time.
It's a concept I've always wanted to play with, and this is a brief sidebar in D&D, but it works much better in this RPG that's designed around it. If anyone's ever heard of the single-player tabletop RPG, 1,000-Year Vampire, it's basically a writing prompt game where you start and you think, okay, I want to be a person in the Russian Revolution, or a person in the Roman Empire, or in, Mayan Central America, all that stuff. And then you write what turns them into a vampire, and every session, you roll some dice, you find a writing prompt, you write something in the little journal, and as you go on, you find prompts that have you cross out memories as you go. As you're living thousands of years, you lose the memory. So by the end of it, you have no idea who you are, you have no idea why you're there, you just have only the recent things. And I think, especially for gods, right, why I like to throw a memory check in there, for less than meta reasons, right? Memories can be a bit hazy as... a long rest can be 500 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, shoot.
So, yeah.
So I'll express to Ystävä.
Perhaps.
I think we're remembering this a little differently. We did jump forward in time about 30 years.
Perhaps we should find a good place for us to speak, or to settle our things and sleep.
Sleep.
I
Sleep.
couldn't help but overhear fine new friends here that you are looking for perhaps a place to rest your heads after a night. If you would like to do so, I cannot vouch for your safety here, and I certainly cannot vouch that I will be here to collect you in the morning. So be that as it may, yes? We understand each other?
Yes, of course.
Perfect.
Did you need something?
From you? No.
Oh,
we
okay.
are quite...
Thank you very much for ferrying us over.
Well, yes, I would like to perhaps reach an understanding. Will I be doing so again?
We should be okay. You come here often, right?
Yes, not usually.
Will you be here tomorrow regardless of whether or not?
No, not necessarily. I was done with my business for the week, perhaps, until you had brought yourselves along for a ride. I don't find myself in the position of making nightly trips to my business.
Okay. It is okay. We will figure out a
You are
different way if we have
certain?
to. Yes. You've been very helpful.
We traveled this far. I think we can figure it out.
Yes, of course. Well,
Start walking away.
He you walk away, and he sort of watches you for a moment. He nods, and to himself, he gathers up one of his backpack satchels of goods and starts speed walking it in the same direction as you, because he's going to the same place you are, and he just goes right past you. And as he moves past you, gives you a look up and down, watching you walk stiltedly. And
I can I roll something can I roll an intelligence check to see if I can glean
that's definitely an insight check,
walking
yes.
insight. I have better insight than I do intelligence, and I felt as though it would be funny if it was worse. I still rolled pretty fucking low. That's a 12.
A 12? What is it you're trying to get out of this?
I'm trying to improve my walking skill by looking at others and trying to decide what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, with a 12, I'll say you watch him basically speed walk with a heavy burden on his back, and you think, I can do that, so you mimic exactly that.
Okay, cool.
I'm talking the full hip swing and the shoulders going with it.
You look like a mom.
But yeah.
Walk.
I turned to Ystävä. I was like, should we help him?
But not going any faster. Just kind of the normal.
I was right there with you.
Let him figure it out. Okay.
Okay, so you're following him up into the town.
Where should we go?
We're looking for some place to stay, aren't we? So maybe we should go talk to that old person.
Okay, let's go.
Go to wherever that person
Okay. So you head up, just across the this rickety little wooden bridges. Again, a lot of air quotes being thrown around Brighthorn. The structures here, the infrastructure is trying the best that it can.
Me too.
Yeah. But you head right up and on towards the central aisle, and the central aisle is fairly jarring, not just because of the large proper building, with the steeple, but the statue, the bronze statue, is by far nicer than anything else in the village, and kept at a considerably better quality. But as you're getting to this aisle, Ilriada's gotten there a couple moments ahead of you, and has started undoing his whole pack full of shit, which seems to unfold the pack itself, the base pack, into something of a stand, like a little table and covering with an awning. Mm-hmm. And he's setting up on one of the corners of this tattered gingham fabric that has been laid out on the main lawn in front of the statue here. Mm-hmm. That was the thing I was describing as a picnic. That is a lot of food items being laid out in specific bundles here, but also trinkets, little carvings, most of them bovine in nature, seemingly bundles of parchment, hastily bound and wrapped together. And by each bundle of stuff, the people or persons that have brought them there are sort of sitting nearby with them, standing nearby. It seems to be, as Ilriad is setting up, that what they are settling here is not just a welcoming here, but something of an exchange. Mm-hmm. Some people are using it to sit down and relax a moment, maybe have a bite to eat of the things they brought out here, but some people are trading with others, though most of them seem focused and ready for Ilriad to finish setting up so that they can ply him with their wares and vice versa. The elderly individual is watching all of this from a little bit afar on the steps that lead up into the main door under the steeple of the big central building. He's sort of sitting there, staff in hand, hunched over a little, just watching plaintively a little bit. And then there's some other movement on some of the other aisles as well. It's a small enough village that when something happens anywhere in the periphery, you're made aware of it, right? Mm-hmm. It's fairly hard to hide anything. The only other thing I'll say you notice with your passives before I turn it over to you is the further in you go, just stepping from the dock into the central aisle here, it smells pretty fucking bad. It's like a warm, acrid, sweet, meaty smell.
It's a bad place to make a town as well.
Yeah, like this, briny and.
Like you're playing Civ 5, and you
got screwed starting.
You should just 2 more squares over.
Yeah.
Or not squares, hexagons, but just keep looking a little bit before you settle. Come on.
They settled and they are here.
They settled in more than one meaning of the word.
Yeah, they settled. Womp womp.
Womp.
Okay. What do you guys want to do?
Excuse me, sir, and I go up to the old dude.
Yes.
I'm looking for a few people, and I was hoping to stay here in this town with my traveling companions. Have you ever seen somebody with a skull face paint on? Skull? Like a skeleton?
Oh, like bones.
Yes.
Like bones of people.
Uh-huh.
Yes, you must be referring to my dear Luna.
Who's Luna?
Oh, an old friend and caretaker of these isles and of the House of Blessed Sacrifice. She is quite a busy woman. Tends to our wounded and such. Can't say anyone's ever asked for her before, not one in such good health as you seem to be. Who did you say you were?
Oh, my name is Ystävä.
Ystävä.
The first name that came to my mind was Bob, and that was not something I could
You
use.
should have gone for it.
Bob.
We're sitting at the same table that entertained the multitudes of Keith in a fantasy.
You're right.
So I'm not sure why Bob was the line that we drew.
Well, I mean, there is Keith with a K.
Sure.
There's Keith with a C.
I can't help but feel
there?
that... I don't. That's a whole can of worms we'll get back into in May or whenever.
Yeah, fair.
Or August. At some point we'll I can't help but feeling that name is familiar. Why do you seek Luna?
I just I've heard about her from the great tree in the middle, and I wanted to meet her in person.
And he sort of like looks to your ears and your overall appearance. Are you with the guild?
What are you dressed as?
A human.
Well, you mentioned the tree.
Yes.
Roll me a quick perception check.
I have no. What's the guild? Okay. That's 18.
I am the guild.
18.
Uh-huh.
He does a little like seated hunch, but quite low as he attempts to bow while seated towards you. I did not know they took those of our kind. It would have been lovely to venture. But no matter. It has taken you time. I had thought, and he looks over across the field to Ilrayad. I had thought he was... Luna.
Mm-hmm.
You thought he was Luna?
No, you wish to see Luna.
Well, we wanted to meet you, and we wanted to meet Ilriad, and we wanted to meet Luna, and we're looking for somebody else, actually, if you've ever...
I think perhaps we best find a place for you to stay for the evening, wouldn't you? Our humble house, and he wraps his staff onto the harsh stone of a large building behind him. Our humble house would be more than happy to provide lodgings for you this fair evening. It does get uncouth when the sun sinks.
So we'd stay here?
Yes, of course. This is part of our nature and our duty as members of the Order of Sacrifice. It is to provide benefits to others at the expense of our own lodging, our own spaces and moments.
Uh-huh.
Would that suffice? They are simple beds.
That is very, very kind of you. Yes, thank you. I would go tell my travelling companions. Well, while I have you here, have you ever seen a female who has red hair?
I think it best that we find you lodgings, and he whacks the wall of the building again.
Behind my back, and wave them over. Like,
Well, have you guys been nearby, or have you been perusing the little...
Just been like nearby, but like not eavesdropping, but not facing. You know what I'm saying? Like over the shoulder, kind of.
Sort of acting like just chill, easygoing, but keyed in.
Yeah.
I'm still continually trying to learn how to walk. But
how to specifically walk.
I think I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Well,
it looks a little robotic at this point.
Can I get a performance check?
a walk check.
Sometimes takes human children months, so
You're
doing what they can in a day. Is that a natural 20 I hear?
No.
Oh.
Is that
a natural 1 I hear? Okay.
So you've combined the two. You've combined the two things, and I'll say I completely agree with you. I think you are absolutely fully nailing it. What you are doing effectively as this little picnic trade moment here is happening quite fast, and they see Ilrayad seems a little stressed. You are functionally just goose-stepping around the whole thing. You've taken the jointless stiff walk and the sort of the swish and shoulder moving of the speed walk and combined them into a very strange motion that is causing at least the children and adolescents around to just watch you go and watch you do these laps around the thing. And with each passing lap, each time you get eye contact across the picnic with Ilrayad, with that nat 1, you give him like a mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and a child's looking at it, and Ünen just goes.
Child cries, runs to gone.
Unen's forced smile. He's like, I'm still learning
Nothing
this too.
Okay. God, it's great to be immortal.
Oh gosh, do I see this?
You can't not.
Okay.
I'll die one day.
Just going around. I too get old.
Have you had existential dread yet? I have it all the time.
Seeing the commotion that Ünen is starting to make, I think Nevrik's gonna go and collect him and say, Ünen, we'll practice this later.
I'm trying as hard as I can.
I know, but it's actually creating more of a commotion than you're floating. So,
to be honest, I feel like I knew that, but I was too far into it. I had to commit.
And that's okay. That's okay. We all have to learn sometime, but I think
I'm just gonna watch you.
Okay.
And I'll do that.
All right. And I
just wear a dress.
You're still facing the old guy,
long
right?
There's a long dress to float.
So basically from behind your back, you're like...
Oh wait, we come over? We come over.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So with the three of you there, he's sort of still sitting, pushes himself up on his staff. I don't think I properly introduced myself to you. I am Tyro. I am known as the Horned Shaman. He sort of thumbs the pendant. And some would call me the guiding star of our order of sacrifice. All I do is and he gestures towards that statue, who, from this angle, has the back facing towards the house, quote unquote, here. All I do is to serve the great Aurelius, saint of sacrifice. And it is in their name that I will introduce you to your stay for the evening. Mm-hmm. Please, into our great house. And he turns, sort of hobbles up the last couple stone stairs and just gives 3 short raps on the wooden door with his staff, and it opens in. He gives you a beckon and walks.
I give you both looks that say, this dude's a little sus. Don't trust him. And then I walk in.
Do we have godly telepathy?
Yeah, I was going to ask, haven't we communicated in this way before?
Yeah. Then I say it. In
Okay.
I was like, for some reason, I feel like we've done this before, but I wasn't sure.
Chat.
To the
Discord
chat.
notification.
Ping.
I'm having a hard time. Remembering who we are looking for, but I feel as though we have already run into some of them. Correct?
Yes, we've found. This is my head. I don't have to speak in that accent. There's too many accents in my head.
You don't think in your own voice?
I would think in my own voice. Actually, my Hannah's thoughts are in a weird voice that's not her own.
Great.
We can unpack
That's
that
what
later.
I say. That's a break conversation.
Yeah.
We were supposed to run into Ilrayad, and we were supposed to run into Tyro. There are 2 other people we're looking for. Skullface And child who's not a child anymore, but is...
Perhaps Luna.
Most likely.
No, that's... Well,
Luna-
Luna's, I think, the skull face.
Or Luna is
It's one.
the little girl who became Skullface as she grew up.
Is it four?
It was four individuals.
Yeah.
Yes, and they hang in the balance and will affect Regulus's future.
Oh yeah, we got vague instruction.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I guess this could also just be like out to even tabletop. We got vague instruction on like these are influential people, but we don't really know. Like it's not like we're going like all right, we're gonna find this one, we're gonna beat the shit.
Right.
We gotta murk the kid.
This one's bad. This one's good. This one's fine.
Yeah.
Also, this place, Table Talk. This place is gross.
Yeah.
Gross. Indeed, it is gross.
Should we just cleanse it? Should we just like wash it all away?
I mean,
Maybe that wave that killed
Yikes.
was supposed to just give it all a bath.
I have a good idea. What if we collect 2 people and their family, and we tell them to collect 2 animals of each species, and then we tell them out of their houses they must build a really big boat, and then we flood the
A
place.
boat like a ship,
Yeah.
or like they'd call it like a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Or-
give them
or-
that word.
There's another word that we could call it. An arc.
Oh,
Well, like that. I like it's three.
Yeah.
It's 3 letters, which is easier for them.
Exactly.
Indeed.
So at some point, I guess I just contract.
We're just like
We
standing there.
We find a Steve Carell looking guy.
Steve Carell. We're getting Steven Schwartz on the project.
Absolutely.
It's happening
This is,
now. Children of Regolus.
This
the new
is Children of
musical.
Eden. No, Children of Regulus.
Right. We walk through after having this mental conversation.
Takes the span of like 6 seconds at best. And you walk into a room or a space that is a little jarring, but not in a bad way. And I only mean that because the light quality is so much better in this room than the outside. As I said, this is a mostly, if you're facing it from what you've just walked into, it's a horizontal building, mostly made of stone, with a wooden roof and a wooden spire coming out the middle of it, with its back to the west and the horizon. As you walk in, it's clear that this is some kind of a house of worship. It looks fairly recognizable as a church. There is an open avenue of walkway, weirdly nice tiled floor. A walkway, an avenue that leads across and immediately only about 15 feet in front of you up to some stairs that lead to a dais and a really large flat marble stone altar and a beautiful stained glass window. It's only lightly stained or lacquered. Tinted, really. It doesn't really have much of a design other than clearly something that looks like an embellished sun. It's nothing huge. The difference is, the reason the light quality looks so good is despite how cloudy it actually is outside, through this window, the clouds are clear. And the actual sunlight of the setting sun is streaming in through the windows and casting these beautiful, dappled orange shadows all over the tiled floor. That's what's directly in front of you, and then to the left and the right, you have avenues, like alleys, that pass through the middle of the building, lined on either side by really, really shitty wooden pews. They're basically just long bar stools, or counter stools, right? Like one long benches, basically.
Yeah.
That are very squat to the ground. A number of rows on either side, and then in the corners of the far ends of the left and right of the building, you can see little wooden stairs, semi-stairs, semi-ladders, leading up to the next layers of the building. There's some kind of immediate layer that at least is rimmed by a balcony looking over and down into the main portion of this building here. And there's got to be some floor higher than that because the ceiling you can see doesn't match where the roof goes outside. The only other thing of note is the person kneeling in sort of on the steps leading to the altar, in some kind of under armor.
Under
like
armor?
crude chainmail and
Okay.
a tabard.
Under
yeah,
armor.
like Under Armour, capital U, capital A, looking like
Steph?
he's doing an ad for
Steph Curry?
Target.
Oh, no, not the athleisure.
Yeah, literally, no. Ye olde athleisure, which means a waist tabard and chainmail, right? Some kind of leg armor that hasn't been doffed yet, but not wearing much bulky armor up top. So as you step in, see all this, Tyro turns around over his shoulder to you briefly. Welcome to the House of Blessed Sacrifice. These are the heart of Brighthorn and my pride and joy in my life's work. And let us speak in private in your lodgings. They should be vacant at the moment. I do not believe we house any guests here yet, but we will just be respectful, be quiet, in case any others. As he gestures towards the individual sort of kneeling there. If any others are in prayer as well, we must respect their doings. Come. And he sort of veers down the leftwards alley. You follow?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah.
Sussy.
You go down the left alley. If you look over your shoulder back towards the middle, you can see it's sort of the person kneeling there, eyes closed, clearly in prayer, middle-aged human being, look well worn but clearly still in fit enough shape.
Mm-hmm.
And they stay locked in prayer for as long as you are down here.
Okay.
It leads you down the left alley between the pews up to the left side end of the church, the House of Sacrifice. Takes you up one of these staircases onto the second floor, this like balcony which has a couple rooms here and there. You can see some doorways dotted around this upper layer. And he leads you up and around basically to directly above where the entryway into the whole building was, where there's a little wooden outcropping and a door that he opens, and he sort of slings the staff over his shoulder. Please excuse me, not the prettiest sight, but follow me if you would. And he enters into this small wooden outcropping and begins climbing up a wee little ladder that's in there. And with each rung...
Okay.
And he only climbs about 6 or so rungs before he swings around over onto a ledge that juts out on behind the ladder. Or if you're climbing up the ladder this way, you'd sort of like swing around and step onto the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I follow him.
Okay.
I follow as well.
I just float up the
I knew you were-
ladder. Like I'm
You like feign it.
I'm
Yeah,
against the ladder, like up against, like near the ladder. Just boom.
You enter creative mode, right? And you just like...
Yeah, exactly.
And like you can.
It's not Minecraft creative.
I made sure to do it like it kind of like last, so nobody would see. But you can kind of like hear behind you, Ünen just go.
so upset.
Just like relief of no longer touching the ground.
Right, it's like getting home after a long day at work and taking off your shoes.
Exactly.
Right? Like, my dogs were barking. If we were not at risk from copyright strikes at this moment, I would play the Moon theme from the DuckTales Super Nintendo game, because it's a really specific sound that I can only associate with like 8-bit flying animators simply moving vertically, right? And that's where I see this. In any case, the ladder clearly keeps going up and into the steeple, but the level that you guys get out at is basically a chunk, the midsection of the roof, or the inside of the roof, some kind of an attic. You can see the herringbone wooden structure of the roof, clearly some sort of internals of at least this portion. You can see the ribbing of a boat some kind that's been repurposed to be a roof here.
Good for her pleasure.
I do want to go home. And in this section, there are just a bunch of cots lined on either side of the area here. There's no window or anything. The only way in or out of here is by that ladder that extends both upward, further up, and back down into the church below. But there are, 8 cots in this room, 4 on each side. Wooden bed frames, again, in air quotes. Some sort of, sheepskin fleece thrown over the top of each of them. Fairly chilly in here, just drafty and a little creaky. And as he sort of steps to the side of where you get off of the ladder to allow you three to enter, Tyro clasps his hands, staff still slung over the back. Not the most stunning abode you fine travelers may have ever encountered. Guild members such as yourself, no less. I hope you will not think less of our humble civilization here, but it is what we can provide and what we are happy to provide for as long as you should choose to stay with us.
I believe we have slept in worse.
Yeah. So, about that person I was talking about.
Thank you. You are with the guild, yes?
Yes.
It is strange it would take. No matter. You have come seeking answers, and I would be happy to provide, so long as the appropriate exchange is made. Yui is not who she was, but we believe we have no reason to lose hope yet.
Yui?
Indeed. The person you asked for.
Like I was driving down the street, remembered I had to go get my belt
So you
from
banged
so I popped a Yui.
Yeah, spelled E-U-I.
Got it.
Oh, Yui.
Yui.
I have to be, in the spirit of honesty, in the name of our saint, I am unwilling to stretch the parameters set on Yui at the moment, given that we are so close to the original dream. It will be easy for us to accomplish this, but if you can perhaps facilitate that as prescribed.
Can you just give us a rundown of what's going on with Yui and what you're trying to accomplish here? Just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
I am new, and I need to be.
He's in training.
Can I get a collective BS check? He's in training.
To be fair,
smacks lid of car.
This
can fit a whole lot of training.
Wait, can I ask for advantage? Because of the fact that this entire time, Ünen has given no reason for him to think that he is
anything but inexperienced.
Yes. He can't even walk.
I will, in the name of ultimate benevolence,
we all get advantage, or
I will allow Ünen to get advantage, but I still need all of you to roll as a group.
And this is deception.
Deception.
Of the scale.
Didn't need it. I didn't fucking need it.
Fuck.
Yeah, I didn't need advantage either, but. Oh, is that? Oh.
We all critted?
Yes.
We all critted just.
I crit my pants.
I feel like
She crit on the other end.
This is a first.
With this group we've
triple crit.
We've had this.
No, it's not the first triple.
No,
crit.
No, but I guess it for the full adventure part.
So. Oh, yeah,
a smaller one, but this is for the for everybody on a roll.
So
there was that time that 5 out of 6 of us in our other campaign rolled natural 20s.
That was wild.
And then one person didn't, and I think it was me.
It was either you or it was Dan.
I think it was me.
That's crazy.
So you have a total of 41 then. Yes, or what's your final total?
What were we rolling?
I got
Deception.
21.
Deception?
Deception.
Right.
21.
So
24.
6. So that's 30 plus. So 52.
Yeah.
51.
51. Yes.
Don't tell me it's 51.
Because it's
What is that?
24.
24
Plus 6.
plus 6, so it's 30. Plus.
Don't tell me it's 51.
Uh-huh.
So the okay, I don't love doing this, but I have to because it's too nuts based on how it was. The base DC was going to be 30 plus his roll.
Mm-hmm.
He has a +3 to charisma. He rolled a 17, so the DC was 50.
My little guy got us through.
just by an inch.
Inch by inch. And it's
Okay, so he takes a minute. Ystävä, lying in your realm walking form, perhaps comes as a physiological surprise, as a thick bead of sweat. Just like treks down, like he's in training.
Not the enemy like the droplet that just
It's the Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
Peele's just like,
Dripping. But the pair of you are like, and you probably like do a little in place goose step moment.
I think I'm staring at him blankly.
Right, completely vacant. In training.
So we just need like a high level rundown of what is going on in this neck of the woods in terms of.
It's only so helpful to hear it from a third party, and I know that it would benefit me and it would benefit my co-workers.
That's continue.
My guild members, my friends. To hear it from you.
And what is it you know so far?
I know that you are trying to accomplish something in the context of your religion. I know a little bit about the Saint of Sacrifice.
You do?
He's met him.
Have you? And his demeanor like...
That's how he got in the guild.
That's that Nat 1 speaking.
as this like interaction happens, so like he's made him how he got in the guild, but Ünen telling around like you see Tyra's face noticeably harden. What was that like?
Oh, I think what is happening right now, and I don't blame you. I have only recently begun to understand them myself. I believe a joke was made at my expense, so pay that no mind. Are you aware of humor?
I am fair traveler. What did you say your name was?
Ünen.
Tunen, Ünen, and Nunen.
And Thrunen.
Thrunen.
Let's not forget.
And
Let's-
Hunan.
And Hunan. Yeah.
Of course. The many myriad.
Yes.
Jesus Christ!
The variants.
I am familiar with the concept of a good laugh, but I am unsure of where you hail from, Nunen.
Ünen.
Nunen. But in a house of worship such as this one, I do not find it. Forgive me. I don't mean to seem harsher than need be. It simply jars the thought that someone, and forgive me if I have the wrong impression, but someone from outside of our way of doing things and way of life would have been able to meet such a figure as the Saint of Sacrifice when we have had so much trouble being heard by our own patron.
Yes, I'm sorry if Ystävä offended you.
No.
I promise that is not our intent.
There is no offense, only an understanding of how things are done here in our neck of the woods. You wish to speak?
Oh, I was just going to explain. It was, well, we were at the tree, and I think after, because you're quite an old elf, or elvenon, whatever it's called, and when the Saint of Sacrifice became a saint, they kind of went on a bit of a sanctioned world godly tour to make themselves known, because they'd already made themselves known here, and Ünen. Oh.
What was that?
Noon also.
We're 3 seconds away. We are 3 seconds away from just cratering this place.
Nevrik
and saying problems.
I just want you guys to remember Nevrik did roll for anger.
Yeah.
And he's losing his patience.
Nevrik's going to glass the planet.
It wasn't like I don't think that the patron saint of sacrifices is saying no to you. I think they're probably busy. I mean, I know my god, the god of the afterlife, is very busy, and I've never heard from them either. But let's get back to the download of
Well, perhaps that is a good place to start. It is not an easy place to live on the water. And our saint proved that we had enough strength to stand against the forces that we choose to live with so long ago now, and we felt them ascend in their own manner, divine intervention and all that, and we have revered them since, but the hallowed halls of this demure house of worship have been so quiet. We speak and we chant and we pray, but so little has come in response. And things were almost falling apart. Of course, until Yui. Poor Yui.
And
what has become
what
of
happened
Yui?
to Yui?
Well, Yui is the point. Now, Yui's hardships came before all this began. The rotten plague taking her parents from her so early, there was nowhere for her to turn. So we took her in and we raised her here in this very room, in fact. And it was not until she was perhaps 8 seasons of age, maybe more, maybe less, the years have waned on now. That was when her dreams began. You can see something spark in his gaze. She had such vivid dreams. They would plague her too, you see, not in the way her parents were plagued in truth, but they would plague her sleep, causing her to toss and turn, and then eventually worse. Things would happen that shouldn't have, or perhaps should have. See, it is of my firm belief that Yui's dreams, they were a gift of godhood, much like what was gifted to the saint in his last moments, but a different kind of gift of truth, laid out a path for us. If our saint wouldn't answer us, and the gods wouldn't answer us, then we had to find a path ourselves, you see. And that is the purpose Yui serves now. We must make sure the events as described come to pass. And that way the star will fall. And we may take that which is reserved for those who would call themselves gods for our own. And it is that reason and the aiding of Yui's clarity in which we have propositioned your guild through our dear Ilreard in an exchange for being witness to each and every new development in these waking dreams, for resources from places from which you all hail. And I trust that it is finally time you have come with the requisite materials that Luna has been requiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, we have.
Our first point of concern is to be able to meet with both Luna and Yui.
Yui is out of the question until the time is right.
It is okay for us to meet with Yui.
It is not a question of whether or not you are accepted enough to see. No one sees.
We are not asking. We will see Yui.
I am terribly sorry. It would be an awful lot of work to do.
What's a little more work?
Why?
She is housed beneath the House of Blessed Sacrifice. She is tethered. She must be.
Chained.
No.
We cannot. She doesn't have to move. We can go to her.
You would perhaps best consult Luna on such a matter. It was her who carved the path and made the way.
Then we shall speak to Luna first.
Yes. Perhaps in the morning it would be best. We leave the evenings for Luna to clean up her messes. It is not... The preparations have been unwieldy, you see. This path is not an easy one to walk, and there are sometimes missteps, and we are correcting those missteps. So once the sun goes down, it would be safer to remain within the walls of the house.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the sun goes down? No one is clear about this.
We have heard tell, but we would like for you to say it in your own words,
Of
please.
course. The plague that has riddled us for so long has quieted some. It no longer chews through our healthy and young, and it has sat like a great bird, like a vulture or other carrion feaster, upon the shoulders of Luna's work. Affects the living now far less than it affects the formerly living. So we leave it to Luna and her cohort to curtail their excursions from the Southern Isle each evening. Some are easier to contain than others, and each night brings its own tribulations. So again, I ask, for the sake of yourselves, as dear members of the guild, that you stay within these walls.
Thank you.
Now, may I provide you with anything else?
No.
Where do we excrete?
Oh my goodness.
Where do we void?
He sort of gets a little red in his leathery cheeks. He slings the staff over his shoulder, holds onto it almost for support. If you...
It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's natural.
No. If you must during the evening, I would recommend you scale the steeple and
shit out the window.
Aim well. It is not. That is perhaps the easiest method I can offer you.
You don't have a place where you guys...
Not indoors.
Interesting. We must do something about that. I say this telepathically, by the way.
In the Crucible, was there anybody who's like the god of like irrigation or like plumbing?
Yeah. Why does it smell so bad here?
That is the one lingering malefactor of the
Plague?
illness. Yes, it regardless of whether it affects the current or formerly living, it produces quite the odor. Unfortunately.
I have a question. If the patron saint of sacrifice hasn't ever reached out to you, have you ever tried to reach out to another god?
We thought of such.
Yeah, maybe your gods and your saints aren't actually gods and saints.
I would ask you to speak kinder in this house. We ourselves chose to remain mostly devout, though some, like our brother beneath us now, Godwin, he chose to follow other paths, and they have been quite fruitful.
Who is this Godwin?
A fair member of our town, a traveller like yourselves, who, over the last series of seasons, made their way home and serves as a scout, a protector. We are not a strong people physically, and he assists us with that, as is his duty. He is bound to other faiths than ours, but we make no discrimination here.
Do you know which
Neither
faith?
does he. He is an adherent wholly to the sun.
Got it. Is it also possible in the morning, or come morning, to arrange a meeting with him as well?
Of course. Of course. He will be posted out in front of the house this evening, assisting Luna should she need it. But come mid-morning, a luncheon perhaps we could arrange, certainly. Again, he is rather devout, so he maintains his schedule in the chapel below quite frequently. It will be simple enough to do so.
I must use the... Is it nighttime?
There are no windows in here, so it's hard to tell. It
When
was
we
getting
walked
to
inside.
like sunset-y golden hour when you got into the church.
Okay.
Go do your business, thank you very much. I think we'll probably stay up here for the rest of the night.
Unpack, take notes.
Of course. Thank you kindly for your patronage, for coming with your guild member to visit. I must confer with him, of course, about what our preceding action should be, and whether he has any other supplies to bring for the coming ritual, of course. And once I have done so, I shall turn in. I live in the guest house adjoined to this facility, but not far at all.
Tell Ilread we say hi.
I will indeed, of course. That is the nature of things. Good evening, my fine friends. And if you please, keep our business to yourselves. I do not want any unrest. Only once the good of what we are achieving here has been achieved, should our fine folk be made aware of what we have gained. Yes, I'm sure you can appreciate discretion.
We are secretive. Have a good night.
And to you.
And he swings himself, again groaning all the while, down the ladder.
Oh, thank fuck. In the brain.
In the brain. I'm gonna go pretend to be Ilread. Oh, elbow. I'm gonna go pretend to be Ilread so that he doesn't actually go and speak to Ilread.
Just about to say.
See you later.
We don't.
I transfer into Ilread as soon as he's away, and then I teleport to like a dark corner in the chapel, and so that I'm like on the other side, like I'm walking into the chapel and I'm gonna meet him.
We love a good shadow travel.
So he's like coming down the thing, and is gonna have to go into the come down the stairs and walk to the entrance of the chapel, and you're like gonna come from the other end to like meet him there, basically, to like cut him off the path wall. Okay, perfect. We're gonna hold on that for 1 second. What are the pair of you gonna do? You gonna stay here?
Of course not. He said don't go out at night.
So yeah, I was planning on, under the guise of voiding my excretions. I don't understand what they do. I am not biomedically trained.
Hi, kid.
Of all the rabbit holes I expected us to come out today, this was never one of them.
Yeah.
Never.
But you know what? I'm here for it.
I guess for Ünen it is literally voiding excrement, right? If you even need to do that, it's shunting any waste into
I am the void.
the void. Yeah.
Ew.
I was planning on climbing the tower and then seeing what is going on at night.
I would like to do the same. I'll join you.
Let's lock the door.
Absolutely.
I believe these humans are stopped by such things.
Yes. All right.
How do you lock a door?
I've never done such a thing.
Right.
You hear in your heads, you turn the thing.
As we walk out and close the door behind.
I mean, there's no door to this room.
Oh.
Fuck me then.
Just a ladder?
Yeah.
Just move
So
the
it's the ladder from that balcony that goes basically past an opening to this floor and up into the steeple.
Cool. Then we just go up.
Move the
Whatever.
over at the entryway. Like the entrance.
The most janky way of blocking the ladder, just like pull the bed with you as you're on the ladder, like.
Let's just go.
We soft magic.
Going up. No.
Finish the sentence.
Create a wall of rage. It looks like a red Star Wars theme.
On one side.
Through
Darth Maul.
I just to try it, I'm going to try just to create like this barrier over it with my magic through the wood and stone or whatever it's made of.
Yeah.
Just to try and like cover the whole area with
I'm
something like that.
very into that, like touching the wood and basically accelerating its elemental growth. So
Yeah.
roll me a Nevrik check, which I guess in this case is basically a spellcasting check, right?
Yeah. 21.
21. And you said your element was anger today?
Yeah.
So you, as you're heading down the ladder, you place your hand on the floor and to allow the wood to grow and cover the opening. And instead of it just like making a little plank that extends, basically a gnarled network of thorned, knotted vines sort of break free of the panels of wood that splinter away and cover the opening that would lead from the ladder into this space.
That should do it.
Yes, indeed.
You're heading downstairs.
We're heading
Upstairs.
tower.
To the tower, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Go ahead.
Apparently there's going to be some sort of opening.
Yeah, well that is how it is. So, as you're heading to the tower, Ystävä,
Yes.
you step into a shaded corner of the loft here, of this sort of bunk room, and seep into the shadow, bleed down into one of the corners of the chapel that isn't affected by that strange windowed sunlight. Mm-hmm. And as you're sort of bleeding down there, you're shifting all the while, so when you reform in the shadowed corner of the main floor, you appear in the beautiful blue gilded robes of the Nevrik with that, those sharp features of Ilrea, the Elven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As you get there, from across, if you're on the right side now, from across the left side of the chapel, Tyro is coming down those stairs, and still in the middle of this room, knelt over in prayer, is the individual you now have a name for, Godwin. Right? Still there. Take it away.
Oh, Tyro, I didn't expect you to be here. I wanted
keep your
to.
voice down, please.
I wanted to see if you were getting along with the new guild members that I brought.
Yes, of course. And before we go any further, performance check.
I think I get advantage on this as my racial trait.
Your shapeshifty thing.
Oh, that was off the thing. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. This is a performance check.
Yep.
24.
24. Yes, getting along quite well. I was actually coming to look for you. Why? You came to find me? Who was running the
Yes.
exchange?
Oh, I just stepped out for a bit.
Of course.
So a quick conversation would be good.
I should not presume. It's okay. Just do not let us not disturb our servant, shall we?
We can go into a corner.
Yes. And he gestures towards the corner you just came from, across that way.
Great.
What's your passive perception?
Oh, 16?
16. As you're crossing back through the windowed sunlit way, you can see the sun is now just dipping below the horizon. Like, we're entering proper dusk now. And you can see Godwin is starting to move a little bit from that position. You head over to the corner of the room. It is funny, I was coming to find you, in fact, dear sir. With the arrival of your guild members, I was hoping you had brought perhaps the requisite materials required.
I do have them. They're in my boat, and I will bring them
Please.
before nightfall.
Post. They may remain. We will not be commencing this evening, just as long as we get them on the isle by sunrise. That would be most preferable, where I can lead you and your fellows down below to the crypt, indeed. Haste would be of the essence, perhaps, but far be it from me to tell you how to run such things. Is there anything else you needed of me?
No, I just came to check and to say that the procedure that we are going to do is a very delicate one.
Of course, of course.
So, if anything is out of place, we may have to postpone, and I want you to be mentally prepared for that.
I am mentally prepared for any outcome. Whether Yui's body will withstand another failed attempt is beyond the reach of my vision.
Have you checked with Yui lately?
Of course.
What's the status?
The same as it has been. We have not attempted since.
Well, I best get back to it.
Of course.
Thank you.
I will venture with you. I must return to my abode before the sun indeed sets.
Great. That's great. Fuck! Okay. We walk out the doors. And then,
Just to set the scene, if you open the doors to the chapel, you've got in front of you the statue and the like little picnic thing that's winding down, admittedly, but literally in sight, in the corner of the picnic blanket, is Ilrayard's little stall.
With Ilrayard.
With Ilrayard in it.
This is what I'm gonna do, okay? I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna turn so that I'm in front of him.
Like body blocking.
So then I put my hand on his shoulder.
Okay.
Oh.
And I go.
It's the Ystävä touch.
Yep. And I go. I really trust you. And
I really trust you.
You know when the bros have a powwow in Long Island? like the morning after, I trust you, mate. You can tell me anything.
Exactly. I really trust you, and I look forward to a bright future together. And then I'm going to use my newfound ability of incepting a thought into his mind.
Yeah.
That when I step away, it was just like a trick of the light that I'm all of a sudden over on the blanket.
You've been back there the entire time.
That's like he's getting old and he's like, oh wow, maybe I spaced out. Like that kind of thing.
Time has passed.
Blackout moment later.
I gotta stop doing so many drugs.
And then I'm
That
going
bender
to...
last week really took a toll.
Just fucking yeet out. Roll me the thickest Ystävä check to date. Oh my god.
Okay. 27.
Natural 1.
Oh, okay.
So, you
Get them old.
walk out the doors, again, sweat trickling from this mortal realm walking form. You see Ilrayard over there. He, thankfully, is literally, like, exchanging a bundle of basically, like, ye olde matches. An invention that clearly Brighthorn doesn't have. So he's focused in this transaction, so he doesn't see you yet. And you turn, you put your hand on Tyro. I really trust you, mate. And he looks up at you, and you can just see this glimmer of... like there's just like a spark of youth, of hope, of something behind his eyes. Of course. And with that squeeze, you let some of that feeling trickle into his body, that warmth, that maybe even through your disguise, some of whatever he would see if he was looking, under your hood, transmits that sensation of connectivity and hominess, before you then transfer that thought, basically of senility, edging him closer to your domain by a fraction, as you just vanish into the shadows of latent dusk. And in that moment, almost draw his attention straight to where Ilrayard actually is. And if any of your presence is lingering in this area as you fade away, you'd see him go... before quickly hobbling downstairs and around to the back of the
my fucking
back of the house.
Cage today.
Yeah. Woo! Close. Okay. Pair of you walk up to the steeple, up the ladder. You come out into a fairly small, it's like a 10-foot square steeple that overlooks pretty much the entirety of Brighthorn, right? To the east, you can see out across to the main field, where you'll see eventually Ystävä and Tyro walk down the steps. You can see the exchange happening.
The weird,
across to the plains.
To him, it was flawless. From afar, it was just...
It was like
it was just like... Huh?
You know when you're playing a video game and you're watching a cutscene and suddenly halfway through the cutscene most of the character disappears except for their eyes and the outline of their
god.
Yeah. It's like that.
Or like it's suddenly like...
Yeah.
Like too far up.
You can just see the feet in the air.
But the number of times that's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's fucking...
The camera is just basically on an empty screen with like literally footprints up here as the asset has moved out of frame.
You heard what we said, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Literally.
CD Projekt dumb.
Yeah, them and their millions of dollars are crying right now. Crying in the club. But seriously, buddy, all of your releases have struggled with that. Let's maybe get it together. Okay.
Physics book, you stupid shit.
And then you can see out the western side of the steeple, looking towards the ocean. There is almost like a viewfinder built into the openings in the steeple. Basically, if you line yourself up looking westwards through the westward opening of the steeple arch there, there's like some filigreed metal that basically seems to dictate where islands were out if you were looking west through this window. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like that's sort of this artistic portrayal here.
Yeah. Like if you stand here,
this is where they. Yeah, exactly. Cool. And also the other big thing is the sun is barely visible anymore. There's just a sliver of orange rippling across this, churned grey sea. These clouds still really thickly overhead, and now only that sliver of orange visible as it's dipping below the horizon, right? And the only other immediately sort of passively noticeable thing is the air is a lot thinner than it was when you got to the island. But you're on the steeple. Night is beginning to is immediately encroaching. What do you guys want to do?
I say for now we wait up here and try to see what happens at night.
Yeah.
Okay. Mustafa, where are you going?
I am going to that corner that I went in before, and I'm shape-shifting to a realm-walking kind of pure form of what Ystävä would be, and I want to see if Godwin is still at the...
Okay. Are you trying to be visible or not?
I am going to be visible.
Okay.
Also, Classic Sam 306, thanks for the gift subs.
Oh, thank you kindly.
Oh,
What a generous gift.
we don't get that sound anymore, so
I know we should. I
No,
prefer to be
Scares
shitless.
the shit out of
Yeah,
us.
scares.
The eyeballs on screen scared
that
scared me.
did get me.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what the? Can you roll me a quick stealth check?
You just described.
Yeah, I'm really good at that. That's a 9.
A 9.
I'm not trying to be.
No, I wanted. That's sort of where I was at.
Yeah.
Is he going to latently notice you or not? So as you phase back into that shadowed corner of the main part of the chapel, you can see he's now stood up and is pulling from sort of nestled away in one of the pews the remainder of his armor, which is clearly like donning rather. Really nice stuff. Mm-hmm. Like beautifully rounded, pure marble white looking plate mail with these gorgeous gold inlays. Like filigree chainmail, like trim bits and pieces, and the center breastplate is gilded with this very severe-looking minimalist sun in the center. And as he gets all of this on, and puts a big chunky plate helm on, but keeps the visor up for now, he brings this large sword, which is currently in a scabbard and got it's like strappy, belty things attached to it. And he holds onto it, and as the sun finally begins to dip fully below the horizon, still very visible and golden, shimmering through these windows, he holds it up into the dregs of the fading light. Mother of all light, great Potter, grant me the benefaction of bearing this weapon in your name in such a holy space once again.
Do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say.
It's just like what's going through his head. And as he holds it there, whispering, just one last refrain of, I bear such an armament in your divine honor. You can see from within the sheath, light start to bleed out of the top of it. And he straps it to his waist and begins to turn away from the window to the door when he sort of sees you in the corner. His hand goes to rest on the hilt of the sword. Are you lost?
No, I've come to pray. Sorry to disturb you. I couldn't help notice your devotion.
Indeed. This is not a safe place to be.
Check zipper.
In a holy place? Protected by the mother of all? Protected by Uro himself? And I take off my hood. I don't know what happened.
What happened?
I don't know.
So you are Ystäving right now?
Yeah, but he's gonna see something.
He's gonna see something.
You take off the hood, and his eyes go wide, and he drops to his knees. Fully like...
He probably looked like Cher. Yeah.
Tim Tebowing it. You bless me with your grace.
Let's just say 4.
In my telepathy to my god friends, I go, I think I'm about to piss Mom off big time. I take my hand and I put it on their shoulder and I do my Ystävä touch.
Oh, no.
Okay. What are you conveying?
Peace and trust.
Peace.
Trust big time.
Earn trust. Roll me the Ystävä check with advantage, because he's hoodwinked.
Fuck, that was horrible. 17.
17?
Mm-hmm.
Too bad.
Okay. He'll, at your touch, and as you send the Ystävä tingle through him, you can feel him like shuddering under you. Why would you bless me with such magnitude? You threaten to burn me up in your divine grace.
I I bless all those I love.
Are you about to bone this person?
Maybe, I don't know.
Please. By all means.
You can do it. He keeps his head firmly bowed, but you can hear the little fleck of tears hitting the
Oh, I thought he was pissing himself. I was like, what? I was like, what happened?
To be fair, if I was around Divinity,
I'm also.
I might shit and piss myself.
I have seen the great horrors that befall this place, and I have come here in person to see how I can rectify it. You are my emissary here, and I must know your thoughts and your opinion, because you do know these people, and what the best way forward would be.
It is as you once told me. All must proceed exactly as it has been ordained. For the sake of the light of the sun's growth, to spread amongst all corners of the realms, things must be completed here.
When you are praying, do you ever hear the voice of Uro?
I do not pray to those beneath you.
Good boy.
He at good boy, he fully head hitting marble down.
donk.
What have I done to deserve such benefaction?
You know. I lift his chin up.
Oh no.
Stained with tears.
You are not the only one of my brood here. I have sent others to help. It is your duty to trust them.
Nice.
They will guide you when I am not beside you.
Of course. Bars.
Oh, I didn't realize. Yep, it's shared power is flowing through me.
Literally.
Show me the path and I will follow.
There are 3 here who will do my bidding. It may seem strange, unorthodox, but trust, just like you trust in the light and the mother of all. And I put my hand on his cheek.
This sexual tension in this scene is really hitting.
You can hear the chainmail rattling as he is in full body tremors.
you hear the sound of a tink.
That's all. We'll just leave it there.
Great.
Your faith in them is mine.
Good. Then I Simba. With my thumb.
I'm sure.
When as you Simba him here, are you trying to imbue him with a blessing the same way you did Polara?
Yeah.
Blessing of
Let's
horniness.
fucking do it. Let's fucking do it. Yeah, I'm doing it.
Okay,
Now
I'm not even gonna have you roll for this
definitely know you
because
did
of the way
this.
this is played out. You do this, and his eyes go starry for a moment, and the light that is emanating from his sword, from the hilt of the sword, from within the scabbard, instead of shafts of golden light, briefly it trickles out this almost gaseous nebula-like substance before it subsides, seemingly before he really notices.
Convert him.
And with that sort of power surging through him for that moment, your will, it shall be done.
And then
Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven.
No kid.
and then I'm going to take my other hand and he's going to it's gonna be like it was a dream, but it was real. But it's gonna be like climactic. You know, in Angels of America.
Yes, yeah.
That's gonna happen
absolutely.
to him.
Okay.
And then
Constitution
when
roll.
the light like fades from his eyes, I will be gone.
Of course.
Are you
Can you roll me an Ystävä check real quick?
Are you boning? What's happening?
In the mind.
In his
In
mind.
the mind.
The mind bone.
The best kind of boning. That is a 32.
32.
Thick 32.
You like grasp him and give him this moment, and you literally hear like straight up. You guys can hear it in the steeple. You hear something from down in the chapel. Oh!
I'm just sending a telepathic message to Ystävä that just says, "Nice."
Just the thumbs up
Yeah,
emoji.
basically.
And
How do you send gifts over mind?
Yeah.
with that noise echoing, you are gone. Ystävä, you have left. Elvis has left the building. With the echoes of that still trembling through the air for the two of you on the steeple, that cry heralds the night. And you will have seen and heard a very rushed, very scattered exodus of the people in the little trading square there, leaving most of the supplies scattered around. Not the actual goods, but the supplies of setting it all up. Still scattered around the courtyard there. As night falls and the air becomes icy cold. And starting in the southernmost aisle, but then beginning to wisp all around the place, are these tendrils of like a gaseous mass, this white, black, almost sort of putrid, like almost white-green smoke wreathing in certain places, as the sound of a small child weeping begins to echo throughout the islands. And all of the sound of the gentle waves of the water, of the ocean lapping against the shores of the isles, ceases as the water surrounding Brighthorn becomes perfectly still. We're gonna go on to 15.
Oh my goodness.
Go to the bathroom, get some snacks. We have some spooky business to get into.
Change your underwear.
Definitely
Godwin
for
has
Godwin.
to. Godwin's well soiled.
My name is Aurelius Zeff, the protector of Barnon, a small whaling village on an island off the coast. I lived my life as anyone should. I cared for my friends, loved my family, forgave my rivals, and built a home to be proud of, a home worth protecting. One day, when I was out whaling, the weather was foul, and the gods' whims must have been wrathful that day. For they sent a wave, bigger than the tallest mountain on Barnon, straight towards the tiny island, to seemingly wipe it off the face of existence. In an act of desperation, I turned my small boat and headed straight on for the wave. I wasn't driven by rage, or the lust for glory, or the pride of trying to best a divine being's whim. I was driven by the deepest feeling someone could have. Love. Love for my home. Those rivals I forgave. The friends I cherished. And the family I raised. for they all would surely perish under this Armageddon. So I gripped my harpoon, and I sailed directly into this beast of a wave, and gave up everything I am to protect this beautiful, insignificant village. I gave up my body, and the strength that I built my home with. And I gave up the memories of my life, my friends, my family. They all became strangers passing in my dreams. I gave up everything, down to my soul, and to spare this island, and to stop that beast from taking it away. And now, as the shepherdess takes me, I can only hope that my sacrifice is enough for the unfeeling gods to notice and spare this small village, this small, insignificant village. My name is Aurelius Zeff. I am a mortal, and I am no more.
The rebel child Sindar sought to control and shape the primal passion that flowed throughout the universe. The other gods had no control over this passion and its overwhelming force, leading to many godly disputes. So, Sindar took this passion, shaped it into emotion, and created her son to rule over them. He was called Nevrik. Sindar charged Nevrik with the power of passion, separating it into 5 base emotions: love, fear, anger, joy, and sadness. Each of these emotions were tied to 5 elements: the immovable earth, the flowing water, the burning fire, the fleeting air, and the striking lightning. Each of these elements came together to form Nevrik's home, the catalyst of all emotion. And Nevrik was the key to unlocking all incorporeal sensation in the universe.
And so came midnight, lost in the stars of the fallen people of his world. As a mortal, Midnight was around in the early ages of his land, and was a part of the few that were at the beginning. Midnight's parents were the first to die, leaving Midnight in a state that would lead him to godship, the exploration of death, hoping that he could see his parents again, while also to be the god that understood what took his parents from him: death itself. Midnight is there to research, study, and ponder what the moment of death will bring to everyone. A worker with all the gods, but closely with Ystävä, leading you through the moment of death and handing you off to Ystävä for the afterlife. On the journey of life, midnight comes when you least expect it. It watches how you make every decision to your last breath. Looking over every soul that reaches death, midnight takes a moment to care for what you have done, what choices you have made, and what has brought you to your final breath. And with that final breath, of life you take, midnight will come.
During the birth of Regolus, Uro created with it a messenger who would meet with the Crucible and assist them with the maintenance of this blossoming new reality. I am Ünen, herald of Uro and god of force. In the beginning, my work was primarily with Kirin, assisting with the creation of the elves. Since then, I have continued my mission to help this universe grow and help the gods as they govern it, forever maintaining the vision that Uro had for his creation, and serving as linchpin for the forces of nature in order to maintain equilibrium.
Welcome. Don't be afraid. There's no reason to be. Let me start with telling you a story. Maybe that would make you more comfortable. But please, you're safe. This story is about the first person who died. So, when the first mortal perished, no place had yet to be created for the dead, except for the god sleep. This mortal came to the sepulchre of the gods alone and with no means to return to the worlds of the living. It was not a place for them. Yet, unfortunately, they were there because there was no other place for them to go. Fearing an eternity of nothingness, or worse, being discovered by a not-so-forgiving god, the mortal tore into the ether, desperate to escape. The ether tore back, filling the mortal with the vast potential that Uro gave existence. All that was before and all that would come to be, ripped through the very essence of the mortal's mind and body. But the mortal's will was strong. So strong that one's soul and vessel had been consumed by the void. Their will remained. From the ether, something began to stitch itself together. The very fabric of the universe, combined with the mortal will to endure, weaved a new being. A friendly face to meet at the edge of eternity. A shepherd to guide souls from what was to what will be. The new god, imbued with the spark the mortal left behind, fashioned a name for themselves. Ystävä. Ystävä carved out a piece of the god sleep for the perished mortals, for you. Ystävä made it for them to come for a final rest, or to be reborn into the next cycle. And while this creation seems very mystical, some focus on the peace and the comfort the god of the afterlife provides. Others fear the great unknown, which I don't blame them. Unknowns are scary, but a very select few believe there might just be something more to be discovered, even beyond the veil. Maybe one day we'll find out. Welcome to the Afterlife. My name is Ystävä.
Right. Hi, welcome back.
Is the sound on?
It is.
Great.
It is. I turned it off.
Hope you guys got some snacks, got some refreshments. I know we definitely did. And we're going to need them, at least for the next small chunk of the session, for the evening, as we get into nighttime in Brighthorn. The village is quiet. It is settled, other than the residual howls of rapturous pleasure from this poor night.
A divine jizz.
The holiest of nuts. The holiest of
I'm
holies.
just trying to help people out here.
Yeah, well, you definitely helped him out. That's for sure. In a number of ways.
Hand.
To that end, when you give him that embrace and fade away, where are you fading away to?
Just awkward. Just like,
I have two options,
just ruin.
and one of them is very reckless.
Do the reckless one.
Okay,
I don't even want to hear the non-reckless one.
I'm gonna think Yui. And I'm gonna go wherever that takes me.
Are you telling
Bangus
us
and
this?
Mangus!
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll be like,
Do you want to come meet up with us and we'll come with you?
she said what she said.
I just
But
say,
we're like,
I'm gonna go find Yui, catch up, and then I go.
okay, that's fine.
That'll do it.
Okay, give me a second. Give me a second.
I might be trapped in a wall.
Okay,
Well,
so...
you happen first, and we can come save you.
Exactly. I'm like the forward scout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
think Yui. You have that image of the child, the red-headed child face,
Uh-huh.
and you Godspeed, you phase, right?
Ooh.
And we'll come back to you.
Cool. Great.
You hear that message, and you feel, as Lars like, I'm gonna find Yui, peace! You feel Lars' presence.
Ystävä?
If Ystävä, see, well
Well,
now it begins.
Maybe I speak like I'm still lost.
It's the Y bullshit. It's the name beginning with Y.
Yeah.
You feel Ystävä's presence completely mute.
As if no longer on this plane.
Honestly, it does like this. You know, if you were standing here and somebody beamed themselves down from the hearth or beamed themselves back up, which is technically a separate plane, that there's an awareness of that. Doesn't feel the same as that.
Okay.
But you don't feel her nearby.
So there's at least 2 feet of lead in between us.
Here's a question: what's the godly Wi-Fi network called?
Yeah.
What's the cellular provider?
Horizon.
Right, that's the session, folks. I'm on my way. Okay. Ystävä's presence fades swiftly. You can see these wispy strands of strange white-black smoke rising from all around the island. This weird, lilting sound of a child weeping, sort of echoing from everywhere and nowhere. What do you want to do?
On my mouthful.
Do you think the child is Yui that we hear?
It is possible. I merely wanted to observe what they were doing at night, but
I would like to see.
We don't really need to interfere.
Okay.
But then maybe we try to follow Ystävä.
Absolutely.
You stand and watch for a few moments. Now it's in this brief passage of time that you can hear the creaking of the wooden doors of the House of Sacrifice open, and with some metal clanking, Godwin, now fully armored, helmeted up, walked down the steps into the opening of the courtyard here.
He's recovered.
A little pep in his step.
You can't tell from where you are at the moment. He seems steadfast and upright.
Upright?
Yeah.
Wow. So he has recovered.
As his personal space. So he steps down there and
Everybody has their own time.
His cheeks are a little flushed.
so bright through the
His
helmet.
hair's a little messy.
His
Right.
helmet's flushed.
Yeah, bed helmet. He stands at the base of the stairs leading up to the chapel and seemingly waits. You can see him sort of look around a little bit as the wisps multiply and flicker in and out of sight. And you see him draw his blade 2/3 of the way before he very quickly sheathes it again.
Boy, fuck this shit up.
And he stands very still. The only other change is that sort of echoing crying doesn't become louder necessarily. It just stops being as sporadic. It's sort of now like underscoring the whole thing. This sort of plaintive, almost whining moan. That just sort of echoes through the wood of the village and across the placid, still waters. And that to you, especially in Nevrik, there's an oddness in that, an imbalance in these waters being still. These wispy rivulets of smoke are increasing in number, still mostly concentrated on that southern isle, but they're appearing in higher quantities around all over Brighthorn. Are you still waiting?
You want to see what happens?
We can also get a good vantage point. And Ünen morphs into a large-ish barn owl that is jet black.
Oh, we're going animal mode.
Can you change form?
Yeah, we can do our animal
as realm
forms.
As realm walkers,
okay.
you can change into your animal form for
Okay.
sure, but not the full bestial mode.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just quickly sort of almost are pulled into your binary god core and then are remade in this fairly statuesque jet black owl. You fly like an eagle into the future and take off. You're just doing loops around the town. You're just basically getting vantage, as you said.
Closer towards the southern isle.
Okay. As you're rolling me a perception check, please. Seeing him turn to an owl, what are you doing? Waiting on the response or just chilling?
I would turn into my animal form, but it's so flashy and noticeable that it might not be a good idea.
Is it a dragon?
No, it's a Pegasus.
Jesus.
So
That might make Godwin just shit himself.
I'll wait.
God damn.
Yeah, I'm. Well, fuck it. We said reckless. Let's do it.
you're doing it?
Yes.
We have to do that. No.
Okay. So seeing this jet
all out on
black,
the field.
seeing the jet black owl start to swoop, you go, all right, bet, and like take a running leap out of the steeple.
Better vantage point.
And in the air,
See less.
you sort of gallop through the sky as your wings, your Nevrik wings, re-emerge and grow and reform into these almost angelic, larger versions of the same wing. Does your Pegasus form have a particular shade? Take any particular unique qualities?
So, it has like. It's blue like the god form that I am, but it has like a black mane. Well, his hair is black, so it's the black mane, that's what it's called. What's it called?
Yeah,
horse's
the mane.
Yeah, like the horse's mane is black and it has a tail black, and the wings are blue. Well, the wings on Nevrik take the shape of the element that is ruling that day. So there'll be lightning. There'll be wings, but they'll be coursing through it is just
So subtle.
lightning bolts.
Yeah,
Really
just the least.
Yeah.
Doesn't draw attention at all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
basically a living equine storm cloud.
Yeah.
Practically, right? As
Absolutely.
you crackle through the air, sort of.
Great.
Living Equine Stormcloud is my new heavy metal band.
That's the one.
Hell yeah. It's like dream metal.
Yeah.
So as you're sort of paralleling each other, doing loops in the sky, one a little more ostentatious than the other.
We go high up.
Can you roll me a perception check as well?
Absolutely.
I got a 13.
13. With a 13, looking over the south
Also
aisle.
got a 13.
Great! If you're focused more on the southern isle and you're focused more on the main thing, you can definitely both start to see that these sort of rising wisps of white-black smoke are taking some sort of shape and beginning to move a little bit.
Mm.
The ones on the mainland, the main islands, are a little. They're almost wisping and wending a little slower. The wisps in more density on the southern island are not only gathering faster, but are moving faster and taking shape more clearly. You can see semi-humanoid structures being formed out of almost these small pillars of fog.
Just quick, number, like quantity-wise. Like, are we talking like tens, hundreds?
On the main, across the central, northeast, and west islands, it's probably, I'm going to say, a total of, just about 12 across all of those isles. On the southern, the number of wisps is at least 30 and growing.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna keep approaching that.
Like, just laterally, or are you descending towards the southern isle as well?
Mostly laterally. But yeah, I'm not
just
afraid
taking a closer look.
I'm not afraid of what's going on. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Are you
Right.
doing the same thing? Or?
Around the main, yeah, I'm just gonna circle and just like keep.
Yeah.
I'm a god.
You can see, if you're circling over the mainland, you can see that Godwin is once again taken a knee and is holding the scabbarded sword to his helmet and is there for a moment before he stands up quite quickly with new resolve, wraps the sword around the belt again, and unsheathes it with a brilliant display of light as the blade, basically a great sword-sized sword that he's wielding in one hand, is just like glowing like a torch, right? It's bright, well lit. It's not like exuding flame or energy or anything like that. It's just lit up. And with that sword out, the little sun sigil on his armor begins to shimmer a bit, and he dashes across the isles, heading towards the nearest cluster of wisps, which is probably on the tail end of the northern isle, the like small one with some houses on it, and he's dashing that way. As you approach the southern isle, this group that was 30 wisps, now getting closer to 50, is starting to shift as a unit, branching out a little bit, but you can see they are taking fully fledged bipedal forms. Kind of faceless, but they all look a little different. They're moving differently, hunched, they hold themselves a little differently, basically completely featureless. But this sound, this is echoed throughout all of them. And whereas it lingers completely ubiquitously in the air, this sound, as it is manifested through each of these figures, is warped and shifted and sounds again just slightly different from each one. But they are moving as a group and also individually towards the main island.
I am going to land on the, like, if this is the southern isle and they're going this way towards everything, I'm gonna kind of like land a little bit over there, just but like not far. Like swooping down, landing, kind of like doing like a transformation mid land, wings coming out, and like in Harry Potter when like the then suddenly Unen's just standing there. And I want to, like, is there like an epicenter of what is happening?
Not yet. It looks like they're moving. All of the wisps, both southern and mainland, all seem to be moving to the same place around the center of, like, that courtyard.
A center of, like, where they're coming out of. Where,
For
like, the
you,
concentrated...
it seems in the sort of barren, unused, like, pockmarked waste of the southern isle. Right? They all start from that same place. They're emerging from there, flickering a little bit before taking form and moving.
Interesting. Do I sense anything beneath the ground?
Roll me a perception check.
Could it be an Ünen check?
I'll allow it.
Damn it. What am I adding for that?
Proficiency plus your, I believe it's intelligence.
I did Constitution.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Then it's going to be 17.
17. There is something below the ground. There is something definitely like a source of life below the ground.
No me gusta.
Can I hand out just like soft magic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Calling on what I can kind of do with the full power of the God Core of like displacing particles, but just trying to manifest that in a more like controlled and easy way.
Okay, I see where you're
just
going with this.
like just aim kind of towards that, and then start parting the.
I'll take another Ünen check
Yeah.
on how precise this is going to be. It's going to happen one way or another.
Cool.
Because I like this a lot. Like basically using that force to localize a disruption, right?
And just kind of like.
Yeah.
Better, much better. 25.
25? Yeah. And like you're looking to this in sort of a fairly restricted like cylinder almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like enough for me to at least see maybe enter through.
So as you focus that sort of particle displacement, the earth begins to break as if it was being dug apart by invisible tools, right? Just shifting apart. And the layer of like sort of moss and grass shifts, and the layer of soil shifts, and then another layer of slightly darker loam, and then something tears, something like wet tears, and a couple wisps back that way completely dissipate. The ones that were just crossing one of the wooden bridges to the main aisle, they completely dissipate. And as you look, as this column expands a bit more, and more wisps here and there, just like 1, 2, maybe another, couple over there, begin to dissipate, you see that you are tearing through layer and layer and layer of humanoid person.
It's a mass grave.
As you are going through layer by layer, as one is sort of displaced and ripped apart before the next one is, you hear, coming from this hole you are digging, a rattling, stilted sound over and over again. Grave is not the right word. As very clearly, before you displace each one, every single individual that you can at least see and sense right now under this ground is still alive. Ystävä. As you reform, you find yourself in a completely pitch black, sort of warm, humid space.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear little sort of scritchling sounds around you, presumably from nothing. It's hard to see. Though, with your just latent dark vision, as gods are going to have, you're clearly surrounded by some amount of soil on almost all sides, though you're in a very narrow, tight, little, shoddily carved passageway or tunnel. A person of any of our stature sitting here at this table would have to significantly bend and hunch over to waddle through this tunnel.
Uni? Ui? Nothing?
You don't hear anything. The tunnel extends in both directions, ahead of you and behind you.
Okay. I'm gonna cast Find the Path.
Tell me about Find the Path.
Find the Path tells me where to go.
It's like Skyrim clairvoyance, kind of.
Uh-huh. Let me tell you what it does.
/ Odin's sight.
Yeah.
Just like every video game, just going like, all right, we understand that it's very busy. And
right.
You need to be able to understand what the fuck to do.
What's happening? Yeah.
The spell allows you to find the shortest, most direct physical route to a specific fixed location. If you name a destination or on another plane of existence, a destination that moves, or a destination that isn't specific, the spell fails. For the duration, as long as you are on the same plane of existence as the destination, you know how far it is and what direction it lies. So what I want to do is I want to cast Find the Path to what I, like the end of the, like the antechamber of this tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that I know I'm not just like going back.
Yeah, of course, like the way you came. Where the tunnel ends up in, you sort of reach out your sense, you materialize your senses into that pulse of Find the Path, and it directs you sort of kind of down ahead of you.
I follow it.
Okay. You follow it. There's more throughout this earth, this just like soft, unmatted earth that's somehow keeping stable enough to hold this tunnel together. These like weird like sort of scritchling and scraping sounds from around and more particularly behind you. You follow this path until it begins to widen and widen and widen, and it takes a dip down before leveling out and flaring out open into a semi-irregularly spherical earthen chamber. And this chamber is completely lined, it seems, with little, or at least the sides of it. The ceiling, and the floor are still mostly matted earth, but the sides are completely wrapped around in what look to be crudely etched plates of stars. It's like a mosaic in big. If each mosaic tile was like this big, right? And somebody has crudely, like literally scratched away images of like little pinprick stars all over this whole thing. And for as shoddy as they are, whatever is going on in this room seems to shimmer a little bit within those star etchings, wisps of light trailing from them towards the center of the room. And what's in the center of the room, about 8 feet off the ground, leaving another 10 or so feet up to the ceiling from where this thing ends, is a person. Hands completely starfished, outstretched, legs as well, incredibly spindly, basically translucent skin, very, very gaunt, malnourished, malgrown. Also, their growth looks fairly severely stunted. Their limbs are not quite the right length. Their torso is sort of strangely placed, and for their complete lack of any body fat, their face still holds a weird amount of almost unwarranted youth to it, despite the aberrant decay that is happening all over the clearly still living human form. And the smell is horrific. Different than upstairs, not that same like acrid, meaty smell, but it's like sulfurous down here, and the like a smell of human waste. Like it's not good. The two big distinguishing features on this person, other than the like undersized rags that they're wearing, are the completely rolled back white eyes with a couple burst veins in them, head tilted back with just a few sprigs of dull red hair tufting out from the scalp.
I take my hood off, and in my mind I reach out. I found Uwe. Come quick.
You do not feel that the message is sent.
Okay. I'd like to float up in as non-threatening of a way.
Yeah, again, Minecraft creative mode.
Yep.
Just like...
Just float up right to them and kind of like Glinda the Good Witch, just like land in front of Uwe.
Almost like seated there. Yeah. She's again like eyes completely rolled back, focused almost up this way.
I'm gonna take 2 fingers and cast Greater Restoration and put my fingers in between her eyes.
I love it. Just that gentle Ystävä touch but more focused, right? Channeling some of that divine power. It's as easy as breathing to you, but it means a great deal to a human body to receive that kind of magical input. This frail human form takes a staggering intake of breath. And her eyes roll down. And it's when the eyes roll down that you sort of can see that she doesn't really have eyelids anymore. So the blink happens without any external movement. Little crust and crease eking from the sides of the eyes. Outstretched. Looking almost like above you. Where am I? Where am I?
Be still, my child.
What?
You are safe now.
Who are you? Well, I can't see you.
It's all right. My name is Ystävä. I'm here to help. And I imbue more of my touch into their face. That, like, peace and calm. Like, I like, pump it more than I ever really have.
Crank the juice, yeah.
But not as much as you did with Goodwin.
Yeah, this is a different kind of juice.
She cannot handle that right now.
She stills. Who are you?
I've come to help.
Help? With what?
To set you free. To
What?
stop this.
To stop the bad dreams?
Yes, I believe we can do that for you. If I take you down from here, will you tell me about the bad dreams?
I don't want to.
Okay. You don't have to right away.
Is she here?
Can you tell me who she is?
I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't want her to be here. You didn't see her?
Is she very tall and spindly?
I don't know.
Okay. It's alright. It's alright. I'm going to do something.
Okay.
I'm going to cast sleep on her.
I feel like
You're gonna
have to roll
cast
for it.
sleep?
I'm sure she has 3 hit points.
Okay.
You're gonna make
continue.
her dream?
No. No, it's a dreamless sleep. It's a void, a god sleep dream. Bong.
Yeah.
Imagine she's like, you don't have to talk about the dreams right now, but go to sleep.
It's like you take 10 milligrams of melatonin. You're not dreaming.
Blinks, wakes up.
Yeah, you just like let the essence of the god sleep just briefly eke out from you. Mm-hmm. And she like takes one of those staggering breaths, those tearful breaths, and just
snip, snip. And I take her, and I'm going...
There's nothing.
There's nothing?
There are no wires holding her up. She's just floating there.
Dispel magic.
The music stopped.
At what level?
That was crazy.
I'm not fucking about here. I'm
what
doing
level?
it at 8th level.
Doing it at 8th level? Great. So, you put her to sleep. Her head lilts, her eyes roll back, so it's just that white. And as she's hanging there, you can almost feel like a magnetic vibration begin to hum around her as she drifts into a sleep there. So you quickly, seeing that she's still feeling like, okay, not fucking about, pump that field of anti-magic around you, and all of the plates around the walls, those like star-etched plates, crack and clatter to the ground. And as they clatter to the ground, she drops. And you are very right. The pair of you can suddenly feel Ystävä miles beneath you. Somewhere. You've got her in her arms.
Uh-huh.
Pair of you up top. You've started to see Godwin like just hacking away at these wisps, dissipating blow by blow with the sword. Some begin to swarm him. And as you feel Ystävä's presence, all of the ground, particularly all emanating from the Southern Isle, begins to tremble. And the Southern Isle itself is beginning to rumble and shudder.
Nope, go for it. Go for it.
So last we left off, Ünen is realizing that.
Yep. Human bodies.
I stop.
Yep.
And like quickly go down. And are they like straight up alive?
They, again, this breathing is like wet and raggedy, staggering. They, a little bit of writhing movement. Very much is a hard word. They are all living, but on the edge. I should also mention that opening the hole here, as you displaced it, the meaty, acrid smell is like, if you were a human being, you'd be almost certainly unconscious, right? It's heavy and dense and steaming out from the hole like a kettle.
What are the is anything happening to the wisps?
I'm sort of at 3 different places in time at the moment. With the ground rumbling, yes, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
It's a lot of emotions. Do I also sense? Or yeah, do I hear?
Yeah. I found Dewey. Something's very wrong. Maybe in the attic.
I don't think that that's possible.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
The ground is continuing to tremble. The things that you can see in the hole are shuddering. The wisps are pretty much across the board vanishing, or at least becoming these motes of light and streaming back towards the Southern Isle, where they've submerged through the ground. The bodies you can see in the hole are beginning to, just at the seams of the human being, melt and conjoin.
Oh, fuck.
Things are in motion. What is each of you doing?
I am radioing Midnight and Hylan.
Okay! Alright, what are you saying?
Midnight, something very bad is happening with our purview, our sphere of influence, and I need your ass here right now. I don't care what you're doing, you're getting here now. Hylan, you have made a cult. It's all your fault. You haven't answered their calls. I don't care if you have amnesia. You are getting here right now. And then I teleport to with Yui, I teleport to the attic. And I seal the
living
ladder.
Crap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great.
Nobody gets in. I am the director of the Google chat, the Zoom call. I let anybody in.
Perfect.
You have to stay in the waiting room.
As you phase into night and travel with Yui out of this chamber, this cracked chamber, as you are dissipating, somebody steps into the room from the tunnel. This woman draped in absolutely crisp, pure white robes with a beautiful black sash tied around their waist, completely shaven head, and this intricate stick and poke, scarred, pigmented skull. And she steps in, sees what's going on, wide-eyed as you phase away. The pair of you received Ystävä's initial message. You basically get 2 responses from them, and we'll get to that in a minute. What are you doing?
What's going on with Godwin? With these...
Godwin, noticing the wisps rushing towards the south, is quickly, like, shouting as he goes across the town, "Everybody stay indoors! Buy your houses! Lock yourselves in! Do not come out until the sun rises! Do you hear me?" As he's basically running across the wooden planks, across the center aisle, and then over towards the southern aisle.
I'm gonna follow him.
As a Pegasus?
In the air.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Southern aisle is structurally falling apart.
Unen's material body, like, burns away, and like it doesn't burn like fire, like just as if it's
like
just
singes,
becomes ash and flies off, and he's in full god form. This is my second soft magic.
Okay.
Ask, and it's a bigger one.
Okay.
I want to focus my energy to like this general area, and essentially what I want to do is, whilst still isolating the bodies of like the life forms, because they're fucking alive, while isolating their bodies, I want to do sort of what Tony Stark does when he goes and expands everything really wide.
Oh yeah, like the screen.
Yeah, like when he's like making like the thing, and then he's like, and he's inside of it. I'm whilst still isolating each body, it's going to be just like a crater of isolated. Any pieces of dirt will become dense little balls.
Yeah.
Just to like clear
You're
the way.
basically gonna expand the entire southern island out into separate dirt and bodies.
And I'm going to keep everything suspended as I look.
Okay.
I'm
gonna need a fairly hefty roll on this one.
I'm very upset. If we want to talk about the inner life of Ünen,
I can see it.
Great.
So I'll tell you that you're channeling that emotive nature, which may be a relative first for you. Something will happen. We are soft magicking this big time. The God of Force is taking action.
Can you have advantage on the roll?
I think you already do.
Do you?
I see what you're like,
because
engaging in anger.
My emotion of the day is anger, and that's what's.
I will allow it because I think that works well. As I say, something is going to happen here. It's the clarity and the precision which is the question.
Yeah.
Right? Make that Ünen check with advantage.
Uro guide me.
Uro, guide us all.
Thank God. Fuck. Okay. Just making sure I'm getting my calculations. Dirty 20.
A dirty 20. Okay. Ünen, God of Force. In a moment charged by the presence of the God of Passion, sort of cycling anger through the pair of you, you focus again that displacive power and use it to effectively, as Godwin is running across the island, separate the southern isle of Brighthorn into fragments. Fragments of condensed soil and bodies. You channel it, those displacive particles, and you burrow your energy, almost using your energy as blind sense to dig through the bodies, pull them apart from each other, and just expand the area. Sending bodies flying into the air, fragments of dirt flying held into the air, and a carved space in the ground that is just lined with corpses. Still wriggling, barely moving, that just goes deeper than you were aware. But a good many of them are up in the air, held, suspended by your force. Bodies rotting, withered, and diseased. And notably, while suspended, they are each beginning to sprout tendrils of flesh and congealed fluid. That, given your suppressive force, they can't really move that far, but you can see wriggling, breaching from the skin of these people, these tendrils are starting to try and reach towards each other. You can literally hear behind you somewhere Godwin stop in his tracks. By the grace of the gods and all that is holy! You have an aerial view from, bodies flying, writhing in the sky. You've received 2 responses, one from Hylan basically saying, "Oh, I wasn't aware, but if that will help, I will come." And from Midnight, "You mean somebody's screwing with our stuff?"
That's what I mean.
Yes. I need you.
Yeah. 1 second. Just hang on. And from somewhere across the continent, you can hear a great whoosh as 2 rabbit feeties hit the ground harder than have ever been done as a mighty leap is initiated. So you've got 2 gods on their way.
Okay. Good.
Is Godwin wearing a cape? Or
No,
something?
actually.
Does he have any?
It's just this plate armor and the chainmail. All dangly tabard between the legs.
Alright.
Double tabard, I guess.
I'm gonna dive down in Pegasus form.
You're gonna like grab him by
I'm gonna pick him up by my mouth. I'm just gonna pull him out of the. I'm gonna pull him out of the.
pull him out of the fire.
Out of the fire.
Yeah.
Out of the way.
You swoop down and snag him up. He literally like, "Good gods! Save me from this terror!" As he's getting ready to swing his sword up at you. You can barely see, he's like dangling from his legs, right? But he's just swinging up and behind you. No idea what's even picking him up, but you've got him, you're up in the air, probably higher than the level of the bodies. You can hear all this nonsense happening outside. That the whining, the like crying wail has stopped, but the sound that the bodies are making has changed and is still sort of present. This
keeping them there in a like full fucking fugue state. Other arm out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna fucking Mjolnir old man person to my fucking hand.
Excellent. Yes, I love to terrorize the elderly person.
Okay. Give me one. What's your spell save DC?
Oh, didn't think about that. My Ünen save DC?
No, your spell save DC.
I
8
don't make
plus your proficiency bonus plus
It
your...
will basically be the
like-
same thing, right?
Yeah.
Just using
Your
8 is a...
Cool.
strength.
So 8 plus. No, I've been
We'll do
doing
Constitution.
Constitution.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So 8 plus 5 is 13 plus 7, so 20.
Okay. You reach out for him, and from a little stone enclave built into the side of the church structure, you feel that his essence, and you latch onto it, and you pull through it, and this man comes tumbling through the air, boom, into your hands, and it's this dude wearing all of Tyro's clothes, except he's like maybe 31 and yoked. just this like big beefy dude, long blonde hair tied in like a sleek ponytail. The staff is like beautifully lacquered with this wall at the top. So it begins, as he stares up at the bodies in the sky. Literally, your hand wrapped around his throat.
Full god mode. I bore into his fucking soul. What is the meaning of this?
He initially focused up here, looks to you, and can't look at the source of your essence.
Yes.
Like eyes sort of singeing. The stars! They rotate and they fall! And we will gladly give ourselves for such a fate. And that's what we'll pick up next week.
Fuck.
So we've got Pegasus in the sky,
With
hoisting Sir Godwin the Nutted up there. We've got Ystävä sealed away in the upper chamber of the House of Sacrifice,
With a child.
holding a child person, a malnourished child person, who is deep slept.
That's me.
Slumbered.
I identify as malnourished child person.
And we've got you holding a Tyro ? In your arms, blinding him with your divinity.
And we have 2 gods on the way.
2 gods are on the way. A bunch of writhing half corpses in the air. And an angry woman with a skull on her face somewhere underground.
Typical.
I did say let's lay it all out on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And we've placed it on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a lot of soft magic. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mad.
I feel
only
like
go up
it's
from here
I feel
next
like
week.
it's definitely like logical.
No,
based off of-
I'm all here for it. Next week, I'll just say it. I think it would be safe to say, let's get a battle map on the table. I wasn't expecting to need
Oof
one,
and
but
doof.
we might need one.
All right.
Not unless I nuke the island.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
Yeah,
that,
we
like,
did say we were going to turn it into a crater.
and I'm all here for it. I'm just saying that there's a chance we should
I've already started.
bring
this.
one,
And we're all mad, so...
just for the sake of it. I think because
Yeah.
if we end up getting into a tussle in. Basically what I'll do, we don't have to like start with it there. I'll draw out a battle map version of Brighthorn to have here, so we have frames
Just
of
so we
reference
have-
anywhere.
yeah.
And then if we get into a tussle, we have it there, and we don't have to do anything crazy
Perfect.
mid stuff.
Sounds great.
Dope.
The fuck, Woody? I texted him. I was like, "Your god created a weird as fuck cult."
Did he though? He just did a thing and got made a god, and everyone else watched, right?
Yeah.
So
And now he doesn't even remember.
now he doesn't remember it. Thanks, Aldwin. Thanks, Papa. Good stuff, guys. We are getting to a crux, a strange, but notwithstanding crux of this divine campania. So tune in next week for another strange episode in Brighthorn.
Tune in next
Tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in. Thrunin and Newen.
Ünen. This one was
Nice.
Ünen.
And
Newen.
Is there a Noonan? A Moonin?
No, there was an Ünen. There was Tunen. There was Thrunen
Thrunen.
and Funen.
Funen,
I'm pretty sure we
'cause that
saw
was-
Funen.
Funen was fake Ünen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was also Tunen.
That was
Yeah.
yes. Tunin was a Latin name.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. This is Newen.
This is
Newen.
No. We can drop that. This is Ünen.
This is
okay?
Ünen.
This is
right.
Ünen,
This is real. This is me.
Yeah.
We're
This
gonna
is who
Ark
I'm
of the
meant to be.
Covenant, these motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's about to get bad. You just burnt a guy's eyes off, so.
An old
He
dude.
deserved it.
A young old dude.
Great, guys. Thank you so much for putting up with a wild and wacky session today. Definitely tune in because it's only going to get stranger from here. As you said, can only go up from this point. And again, jump on the Discord for some fun updates coming down the line. Can't miss it. Much like the new gods here, it only goes up for the bards from here as well. And that's all I've really got. Are we raiding? tonight?
We're raiding.
Yeah.
Doing raid.
We raid.
Ooh, who are we
Would
raiding?
we siege? Or besiege, I guess, is the verb.
But yeah, in general, have a great night,
Have a
everybody.
lovely rest of your week, even. Don't let anybody work you too hard. You're worth more than whatever they're paying you out there.
I will post a message in the chat if people want to copy it to post when we go. To
Great.
raid.
Nice. Nice.
Who are we raiding? Let's raid Skull for initiative. They're our friends over there.
Skull for initiative. Yes, let's do it.
Skull! Okay.
Skull!
Fabulous. Happy raiding. Happy rest of your week. And we'll see you next Monday.
We can go, so you can go on Streamlabs, and then you can go, and not end stream, but yeah, go to see you next time.